Hello, Sphere. My name is Mikko. I've been working in this field forever. In fact, I've been working in this field so long that one of the first malware I analyzed looked like this. This is 1992, piece of malware called Phantom, made somewhere in Russia, spreading on, well, as you probably know, one of these, sort of becoming a mandatory tradition that I have to show a floppy on stage wherever I am. And throughout these years that I've been working in this field, I've been thinking about the technology change, how our society is changed by technology, because nothing shapes our society more and nothing shapes our society faster than technology revolutions. Technology changes our world more and faster than anything else, all the way from the Industrial Revolution, which I think about as the age of artificial power, where we invented that we can have machines do the things we used to do with muscles. Or the revolution of electricity, the revolution of connectivity, which we call the internet, or now the revolution of AI, or maybe generative AI. Nothing changes the world as much and as quickly. And these are all trade-offs. We get great things from these innovations. We get great things from these technology revolutions, but we also always, every single time, we get downsides. We get upsides and downsides. And when we invent something, when we make a technological innovation, it's with us forever, whether we like it or not. Because we cannot make things go away. We cannot uninvent things. We cannot put the cat back into the bag once it's out of the bag. Innovations don't go away, even if we want them to go away. And in many cases, we don't want them to go away. So if we, for example, think about one of the biggest inventions of our time, Internet. I was born in 1969. The TCP/IP protocol, well, actually, the IP protocol, TCP, came a little bit later, was invented in 1969. So if you ever wonder how old is the Internet, it's this old. That's how old it is. And Internet is the best thing. I love it. I'm in love with the Internet. It has brought us so much good, so many benefits, so many new business opportunities, so many new forms of entertainment, so many forms of connectivity. It's the best thing ever. It's also the worst thing ever. It's brought us online crime, online risks, online war. We can't just take the upsides. We will get the downsides, whether we like them or not. So Internet is a prime example of this. Internet is great and awful at the same time. And this is an example of an innovation we don't want to go away, because the upsides are clearly bigger than the downsides. We just have to accept the downsides. One of the main reasons why Internet is so good, one of the main reasons why it's so durable, is the protocol itself, the one invented in 1969, IP. Well, when it was combined with TCP/IP, we got a protocol which moves data from point A to point B, and if there's a problem on the way, like cut connectivity or something, it will automatically reroute the packet. It doesn't matter how complex the route is from point A to point B. If there is a route, it will find it. That's great. That's why Internet works so well, works surprisingly well. For a 50-year-old technology innovation, it's amazing how well it works. It's also awful, because it has turned out to be surprisingly hard to keep things off the Internet. If you want to keep things off the Internet, that's surprisingly hard. We see this all the time. Factories, power generators, ski lifts connected to the Internet by accident. Originally, whatever factory or plant or energy generation system that gets exposed, originally it was offline. And things are, yeah, they are much safer if they're offline, but it's hard to keep them offline. Especially it's hard to keep them offline for extended periods of time, like years. Whenever we scan public IP ranges and find factories and similar pieces of infrastructure online and we investigate why they are exposed to public internet, the story is almost always the same. But it was offline. For many years, it was offline. Fine. Then something happened. The company bought another company, which bought another company. The networks were joined together and reconfigured. And that's the problem. TCP/IP will find a way. It will find a way. It reroutes. If it wants to get a packet from point A to point B, no matter how complex the route is, if there is a way, it will find the way. It's great. And it's awful. Another example of the changes the internet brought to us was social media. Every year, the Time magazine selects the person of the year. In 2006, the person of the year was you. The cover of Time magazine actually had a mirror. So if you were looking at the magazine, you saw yourself. And the reason why they selected you as person of the year was that this was the time that social media started becoming mainstream. YouTube had been released 2 years earlier. MySpace was the #1 social media, and Facebook was starting to become more common. And this really did change everything. Time magazine was absolutely correct to pick up on this trend. They noticed that things are changing. We used to be getting our information from central sources like TV or radio or newspapers, and suddenly we had a two-way route. We had social media. Now everybody and anybody could publish their thoughts for everyone else. It used to be top-down, now it was peer-to-peer. This seems like a good idea. Turns out it's an awful idea. Social media is an awful idea, isn't it? Well, yes, it has its upsides, but also the downsides are very clear. All kinds of nutcases get their messaging out there as well. We get this polarization of opinions, and social media is the prime reason why conspiracy theories thrive better today than ever before. Another example, encryption technologies. Not too long ago, roughly 30 years ago, we invented strong, uncrackable encryption algorithms. A little bit more than that, maybe 35 years ago. And that's great. These technologies using keys which are so long that computing power of the planet cannot crack them, or it will take hundreds of millions of years to crack them. That technology is the technology which has provided us, all of us, with security and privacy. We all use strong, uncrackable encryption every day, all the time. We use it every time we go online to do anything. Just surfing on the web, or definitely when you're making purchases or doing online banking or sending messages. And this is great. We want to keep our messages and our purchases safe and secure and private. But it's also awful when bad people use these technologies. Bad people like criminals or terrorists or what have you. And we cannot make this innovation go away. Even if we would want it to go away, we couldn't. We couldn't make it disappear because the invention has been done. We cannot uninvent it. Even if we would destroy every single secure encryption app and messaging system and all of that, anybody with even basic programming skills could walk to the nearest library and lend a basic math book which would contain instructions on how to implement uncrackable encryption. We cannot make this idea disappear. The best we could do is that we could make it illegal, which we certainly could do. Obviously, we could pass laws which would say that using strong encryption is bad and it's outlawed. You must not use it. That would solve the problem, wouldn't it? Then, if strong encryption would be outlawed, it wouldn't be used, except by the ones who break the laws. And you know who breaks the laws? criminals break the laws. So if we would pass a law like this, the only ones using strong encryption, the only ones with strong security and strong privacy would be the criminals. The ones who would lose out would be you and me. This is what I mean by being unable to get rid of innovations once we've invented them. Strong encryption has many other ways of harming us as well. Of course, ransomware is a great example of that. Ransomware gangs wouldn't have a job if strong encryptions wouldn't, or strong encryption technologies wouldn't enable them to encrypt the files of the victims in a way that they can't recover them without paying. That's a problem. And of course, this particular problem of ransomware is very tightly connected to another thing which is great and awful at the same time: cryptocurrencies. It's easy to find bad sides of Bitcoin. Clearly, criminals use it all the time. So how is it great? What are the upsides? Well, Bitcoin is a real, genuine innovation. Or let me put it like this: the blockchain running Bitcoin is a very real and very genuine major innovation. How can you tell when an innovation is a major innovation? Well, you can tell because it seems pretty obvious after it has been invented. That's how you can tell. Whenever someone invents something and he explains it to you or she explains it to you, and you go like, well, that's obvious. That's a mark of a big innovation. Because if it's obvious after it has been invented, then it's a big innovation. And that's exactly what blockchain is. The Bitcoin blockchain is very simple. It's a ledger of transactions. A list of transactions with two features. Feature number one, every transaction in this list is public forever. Feature number two, every entry in this list is unchangeable forever. That's it. That's the innovation. And when you explain it like that, it seems pretty obvious. That's it. A list of transactions which is public forever and unchangeable forever. That doesn't sound like a very big innovation at all. That's pretty obvious. Well, yes, it's obvious now, but it wasn't obvious in 2009 when it was invented. And you can do tons of things with a new innovation like this. Certainly move money, that's what Bitcoin is all about. But you can do tons of other things as well, like smart contracts, or you can build programmable finances. Any transaction where you have parties who don't know each other and don't trust each other can benefit from an innovation like this. But I don't need to tell you about the downsides, because clearly this is one of the reasons why we see so much online crime. This right here has enabled unlimited amounts of online theft. Bitcoin is the equivalent of cash to the online world. And just like real-world crime runs with cash, online crime runs with Bitcoin. That's Bitcoin. Anybody want a Bitcoin? There? Catchy. Here we go. And he dropped it. Oh, my God. Take good care of it. It might become valuable one day. And this cryptocurrency world and innovation of virtual currencies has been the fuel which has been firing up the largest online crime gangs in the world. Gangs which I call cybercrime unicorns. The biggest gangs like Lockbit or Akira. Gangs which make millions and millions with their attacks, and to make matters worse, they've kept their wealth in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin for years and years, which meant that because of the valuations have grown, these gangs have become wealthy almost automatically. And if something is worse than an organized cybercrime gang, a wealthy organized cybercrime gang is even worse. Because now they can invest into their attacks. They can run their own data centers. They can start to hire more. They have HR teams. They have lawyers. They have physical offices, physical data centers. And that's what we don't want them to have. Another thing that these gangs do when they become powerful enough and rich, wealthy enough, is that they start to do branding. They start to brand themselves. That's why they have names. That's why they have logos. Think about this. Organized crime gangs that do branding. Organized crime gangs that have logos, that run websites, that are trying to create name recognition for themselves. Sounds pretty wild, but then again, if we forget the cyber world for a moment and think about the real world, well, one of the strongest brands in the world is Hells Angels. Everybody knows Hells Angels. Very big brand, very recognizable brand, also very strong brand in the sense that it's scary. Strong and scary brand, exactly what an organized crime gang would need. Because everybody knows that Hells Angels is scary. You don't mess around with the Hells Angels or with the Bandidos or with the Los Zetas or MS-13 or Triads or Yakuzas or Cosa Nostras. They've built brands. And that's exactly what ransomware gangs are doing as well. They're building brands, scary brands, brands that we would know, and we do know them. Exactly in the same way as it's bad news if you end up in trouble with Hells Angels or Bandidos, it's trouble if you end up having a problem with Akira or other major ransomware gangs. They've been in operation for years, and they've built a scary brand. It enables them to recruit better, and it enables them to scare their victims better. The good news in the world of cybercrime unicorns in 2024 is that we've seen more law enforcement action than in a good while. Not necessarily sentences, not even arrests, but we've seen a lot of disruption. Law enforcement agencies from the West have taken down and hacked multiple Tor-hidden websites run by these unicorns. And many of the biggest leaders have been indicted, like Mikhail Matveev, who was indicted in December, or Dmitry Korosev, who was indicted 3 weeks ago. Korosev, who lives in the city of Voronezh, right on the Ukrainian border, but on the Russian side. Both Korosev and Matveev are linked to the Lockbit gang which has been disrupted, but is still in operation today. They have a new darknet website, and they're still posting victims. Last victims were posted last week. So how did Mikhail react to the news when he heard the news that he's been indicted? Well, he's in Russia. He's been indicted by Federal Bureau of Investigation from the United States. USA has no jurisdiction. FBI cannot come up and arrest him. Russian law enforcement probably doesn't care because his victims are not in Russia. These gangs take great care to make sure their victims are everywhere else except in Russia. There might be some bribery going on as well. He probably believes he's protected. How can we tell? Because when he was indicted, Mikhail tweeted about this. He posted a tweet of his working space with the message "cuckoo," and the space contained a t-shirt he had made out of the indictment. Nice guy. His whereabouts are unknown. He hasn't been arrested by any law enforcement. If we've accomplished anything with these actions, it is that these Russian criminals will not be leaving Russia during their lifetime. No more holidays in the Mediterranean for these guys. Linked to these ransomware gangs and other unicorns is, of course, Tor, or Tor Hidden Service, which is once again the same thing. It's great, and it's awful. Right now, I would say Tor is more awful than great, but it is used for good uses as well. The history of Tor comes from a project funded by United States Air Force to build a network that could be used inside authoritarian societies or inside totalitarian states by people who would like to change their society, people who need to be able to access outside internet and communicate inside their country securely and safely. That's what it originally built for. However, if you go to Tor, especially Tor Hidden Service today, to look at the content, it's pretty nasty. Because what Tor does is that it hides the physical location of the servers. Normal servers in the normal web or normal internet, you can always figure out where they are. They have addresses, domain names, IP addresses. You can figure out where they are, which operator is running this. And if there's something illegal on the site, law enforcement calls the operator. They shut down the site, and if there's a crime, they get a copy of the server for investigation purposes. And this is the thing you cannot do in Tor, because we don't know where the servers are. That's what Tor does. It hides the physical layer. We have no idea if the server is in your city or across the world. Cops can't find the servers. That's the problem. End result, when you go to Tor Hidden Service, you'll find sites selling guns or any other illegal things, sites selling hitman services, and of course, tons and tons of drug trade. Drug trade has largely moved from the real world to Tor Hidden Service, especially consumer drug trade. People go online, buy MDMA or cocaine, pay with Monero or other cryptocurrency, and get their drugs shipped to them in mail, like normal postal mail. That's how most of the drug trade today works. All this is enabled by cryptocurrencies and Tor Hidden Service. And we cannot make this invention go away. Can't uninvent it. So what about more modern developments, like quantum computers? Well, they're also great and awful at the same time. I actually visited a quantum computer factory last year. I've touched a quantum computer. I can tell you that they're really cool, like literally cool. Quantum computers run at minus 273 degrees Celsius, so really cool. And that's great because they are unlocking whole new levels of computing capability. They will change the way we do computing. We don't exactly know when this revolution will start for real, but it's getting closer. So what's the downside? Well, the downside is a very big part of the encryption algorithms we use can be broken by quantum computers. So how do quantum computers work? I'm not going to explain it to you. Instead, I will have the Prime Minister of Canada explain it to you.
I was going to ask you to explain quantum computing, but when do you expect Canada's ISIL mission to begin again? And are we not doing anything in the interim while we prepare?
Okay. Very simply, normal computers work by... No, don't interrupt me. When you walk out of here, you will know more. No, some of you will know far less about quantum computing, but most of you, normal computers work either there's power going through a wire or not. It's 1 or a 0. They're binary systems. What quantum states allow for is much more complex information to be encoded into a single bit. Regular computer bit is either a 1 or a 0, on or off. A quantum state can be much more complex than that because, as we know, things can be both particle and wave at the same times, and the uncertainty around quantum states allows us to encode more information into a much smaller computer. So that's what's exciting about quantum computing, and that's what we're going.
Yes, that's exactly what's exciting about quantum computing. But the downside is, big part of the encryption systems that we use for our security and privacy can be broken once we have enough qubits, including, well, practically all of the web, all online stores, online banking, most of the messaging systems we use, not everything. For example, latest version of Signal has a quantum-safe algorithm in use. Same thing with latest version of iMessage in iPhone. Also, if you use SSH for terminal connections, they started supporting quantum-safe algorithms late last year. And also Bitcoin. if you use a new transaction for every, or new address for every transaction, it is quantum safe, or considered to be quantum safe. However, we have tons of things to still change and make them quantum safe. It is going to be a massive undertaking to make everything safe in time before quantum hits us. Because we don't really only need to change every web browser and every laptop and maybe every phone. We also have to update every smartwatch, every television, every car. And if you think about the IPv4 to IPv6 change, we've been doing that for 3 decades now, and we're not ready. This is going to be a much bigger undertaking, so we really should start now. Because quantum, like everything else, is great and awful at the same time. And that brings us to, well, you know what? AI. Yes, I think we all know it. It is great, and it is awful at the same time. And the main reason why this revolution is happening right now is the computing power. It's the introduction of new machine learning algorithms which were being run not on CPUs, but on GPUs. That right there, an NVIDIA H100, is really what changed the game, that enabled us to start the AI revolution for real. This right here. This is what was used to teach GPT and Gemini and Claude and Midjourney and Stable Diffusion and Suno and Udio and Music LM and any of the other generative AI systems you use, whether they are large language models or image generators or anything else. And this right here is the hardest thing to build in the world. It's so hard to build. There's only one factory in the world which can make these. It's easier to put a man on the moon than to build one of these. And that's why we get these crazy valuations right now in stock exchanges. If you look at sales statistics of NVIDIA, you look at how many H100s they shipped last year. They shipped around 500,000 of those. Google bought 50,000, Microsoft bought 150,000, Meta bought another 150,000. And after these figures were made public, Mark Zuckerberg actually called Omdia Research, which made these statistics, to correct them. That no, we actually didn't buy 150,000, we bought 600,000. What's the price? 40,000 euros for one. We're speaking about billions and billions being invested into the computing power, which is used to teach the systems you use every day. There's also a very clear environmental cost, because these use hundreds of watts of power. Where's OpenAI? Why isn't it on the list? Well, the rumors say that just the video generation algorithm used by OpenAI uses 750,000 H100s. But it's a little bit unclear how many of those they own themselves and how many of those they use from their partners, mostly from Microsoft's collection of H100s. But this is really the main reason why this revolution is happening right now. So, last year, here in SPHERE, I was speaking about AI. I actually watched the talk 2 weeks ago when I was preparing for this talk. Some of the things had already very different. For example, one slide I showed at SPHERE 2023 was this. I was speaking about the hottest summer in AI history. Clearly, I was wrong. Right now is the hottest summer. Just go outside and see the hottest summer by yourself. I was complaining about how it was hard to keep up with the innovations, even if you want to, because there's so many new innovations coming out, so many new products, so many new protocols. And I showed an example. Music LM. I gave a prompt to a music generator like this, and it generated a song. A rising synth is playing an arpeggio with a lot of reverb. And I believe I said to the audience 12 months ago that, yeah, it's not going to be a hit, but you know, it could be playing background in an elevator, but it's going to get better. All right. 12 months later. And we end up with systems like Suno and Udio. Music generators are better. I gave a prompt like this. Hey, Udio, give me a rock song about a group of cybersecurity nerds, that's you, here at the cable factory in Finland. Udio went to work. 30 seconds later, it had composed a tune, arranged the tune, played the instruments, then it wrote the lyrics, and then it sang the song. Would you like to hear the song?
Yes. Nerds unite. We're on the rise. Capitalist where we reside. Cyber warriors. We're breaking the code in Helsinki. The secrets unfold. Late nights. Coffee in our veins, hunting down the digital chains, firewalls and encryption keys, defending networks with expertise. Code warriors, we're the guardians of the net, united in our mission. We won't forget, with keyboards as our swords, we'll never rest. Compelling cybersecurity, we're the best, yes.
What can I say? What the hell? First attempt. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? It's crazy. It's insane. And you could ask it, okay, great, now change the song. Same song, but sing it in Finnish, and it's going to sing in Finnish. Change it to a tango. Change it to death metal. Change it to gangster rap, and it's going to do that. And all of them are decent, actually better than decent. I've played around with Suno and Udio a little bit, and I find myself weeks later humming to the tune. Like, yeah, which song is this? Oh, God. So when you ask AI to make a catchy tune, it makes a catchy tune. It knows what's catchy to us humans, and it optimizes for that, and it ends up with tunes which are surprisingly good. I tweeted a couple of weeks ago that I'm forecasting that we will have a top 40 hit during this year, straight out of one of these generators. Who's going to get the royalties? I have no idea. I don't really know how it works. But this is a little bit unnerving, because we used to think that we humans are the ones that create art. And clearly this is art. And imagine how good it will be next year, 10 years, 20 years. Think about the change from last year and what we're seeing now. It's insane. I especially like the lyrics where it wrote that keyboards as our swords. I really like the idea of something like this. Other things are becoming practical as well. Earlier this month, when I was at the RSA conference, I ordered a taxi. Instead of Uber, I used Waymo. Exactly the same thing. Mobile app, where are you, where do you want to go? and the car comes over, picks you up, and drives away, except there is no driver. And it is freaky. Like, that's me sitting on the passenger side, scared to my wits about this car driving itself in the middle of rush hour traffic in San Francisco. No problems. There's actually a small sign at the wheel which says, "Don't touch the wheel." So these are pretty cool. AI is pretty awesome, isn't it? It's great. It's also awful. We are seeing attacks already. We've seen the first examples of malware using large language models, and of course we're seeing plenty of these deepfakes. Although typically the deepfakes today are deepfakes of celebrities used in consumer scams, not to fool corporate audiences, but consumers typically to buy a cryptocurrency token in a cryptocurrency scam.
Hello, everyone. I'm here to tell you about the Neuralink crypto token, the new cryptocurrency that will change the world forever. With this token, you have a unique opportunity to invest in the future of brain-machine interfaces.
No, bad idea. Do not invest in these interfaces, especially do not invest through Neuralink token. It's a scam. So what about cases that we've heard of? Cases where companies get fooled by deep fakes, where the financial clerk gets a call from the CFO over Teams, and it's a real-time chat with the CFO who turns out to be a deep fake. Well, this hasn't happened. Or if it has, we have no evidence. Clearly, we do already have the technology to pull off one-off scams with real-time deepfakes of real people, but we have no evidence of that happening. It's going to happen, but we haven't seen it yet. What we have seen, what we have evidence of, is audio deepfakes. Even those we haven't seen in real-time use. But for example, 3 months ago we had a case where CEO of a Nordic company sent a voicemail to the WhatsApp of financial clerk in the Danish office of the same company. He sent a message and then continued the scam by chatting over WhatsApp. Let's listen to the voicemail.
Man, Fed John Paul as well. I need you to manage an undisclosed deal from the company from Sweden. Please let me know when you're available.
I need you to manage and disclose the deal with the company from Sweden. Please let me know when you're available. The CEO confirmed that, yes, that is my voice. No, I did not say that. This is real. Happened 3 months ago. I have 2 cases like this. Similar cases where CEO voice was stolen for a pre-rendered attack. Not video, not real time, but nevertheless, it's happening. But I only have 2 cases. I don't have 200, I don't have 2,000 cases. I'm trying to calm down a little bit about the hype around AI attacks. We do have the technology to do all kinds of attacks, but we aren't seeing massive amounts of attacks yet. Is it going to get worse? I'm afraid it will, but it's not a huge problem yet at the moment. So let me give you a practical tip regarding risks with AI. We've all seen images made with AI generators, and we know that AI has problems when it makes pictures. It has problems with hands. For some reason, many of the generators, whether it's Midjourney or Stable Diffusion or something else, they have problems with human hands. Human hands are hard. So the practical tip I have is that you can do what I've done. Go online and order yourself an extra finger. Like this. It's a finger made out of rubber. I paid €3 for it. Looks real enough. And every time you're in a photo, someone wants to take a selfie with you, you wear an extra finger. Here we go. Yeah. Hey. Let's go. And then later, you can deny. I wasn't there. I wasn't at Kaapeli. I've never heard of this place. Who are these people? That's a deep fake. Just count the fingers. Okay, maybe not a very practical tip, but a tip nevertheless. And that means, my friends, that means But there's only one thing left to do. There's only one thing we must do. Because we are the guardians of the net.
Secrets unfold, let guardians of the net. Hunting down the digital chase, firewalls and encryption keys, defending networks with expertise. Code warrior.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mikko Hyppönen.
Thank you.
That concludes SPHERE 2024. Thank you all so much for coming. We hope you enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it? Because you are the guardians of the net. Let's sway. See you next year.
Thank you.
Bye. Mikko Hyppönen, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.